A millionaire marries a defiant girl on a bet only to realize her purity on their wedding night. The sky over downtown Manhattan hung low and gray, the kind of afternoon that pressed against the glass towers and left everything tasting like rain. Ethan Vale stood on the rooftop of his office building, wind tugging at his coat, the city lights beginning to blink alive below him. In his hand, a sleek leather folder, sealed with a thin red ribbon, fluttered against the breeze. He checked his watch once, then looked up as the elevator doors opened. Maya stepped out, clutching a dented stainless steel thermos like it was armor. Her hair was damp from the drizzle, her shoes cheap canvas soaked through. She looked at him, this man in a custom suit worth more than her entire month's paycheck, and said quietly, "You asked to see me?" Ethan's voice was calm, practiced, the tone of a man used to signing lives into contracts. "Yes, I am offering you a proposal." Her brow lifted. "A job?" He shook his head. "A marriage." Quote. The word hung between them, absurd and heavy. Maya almost laughed. "You have got to be kidding." "I am not," Ethan replied, stepping closer. "Think of it as a contract. 90 days. We both get what we need." Her fingers tightened around the thermos. "And what exactly do I need, Mr. Vale?" Ethan's gaze sharpened. "Your grandfather's bookstore, Fong and Letters, is 3 weeks from foreclosure. I can make that disappear." That made her flinch. "How do you know about that?" "I know enough," he said simply. "The bank's representative is one of my subsidiaries. I can erase the debt, but in exchange, you will be my wife on paper until my board finalizes a major merger. After that, you walk away with the bookstore fully paid off." She stared at him, rain streaking down her face. "Why me? You could hire any actress to play that part." "Because you are real," Ethan said. "And the board will see that. I need authenticity, not polish." Quote. Maya laughed bitterly. "Authenticity. Right. You are buying integrity now?" His jaw tightened, but he said nothing. He handed her the folder. Inside, 5 clean pages waited, typed in neat black font, the rules of their fake marriage. No intimacy. Attend 5 public events together. Keep confidentiality. No interference in each other's private lives. Terminate after 90 days with full settlement. Maya closed the folder slowly. "You really think I will sign this?" "I think," Ethan said, "you care more about your grandfather's health than your pride." That struck home. Her throat worked once. She thought of the old man sitting in the dim shop, coughing through the dust of unsold books. She thought of the landlord's final warning pinned to the door. Then she looked back at Ethan Vale, the cold billionaire who was treating this like a negotiation, not a life. "Fine," she said softly. "I will sign. But I am adding one more clause." His brow furrowed. "What clause?" She untied the red ribbon from the folder, looping it around again, tighter this time. "Every line of this deal will be written in red ink, so you remember whose blood you are playing with." Ethan blinked, momentarily caught off guard. Then, despite himself, he nodded. Agreed. Rain hit harder, pooling on the rooftop tiles. Maya took the pen from his pocket, her hand steady. "I am not doing this for you," she said. "I am doing this for my family." She signed her name Maya in bold red strokes. When she handed the folder back, the ink had not yet dried. The city wind caught the ribbon and made it snap in the air like a flag. Ethan closed the folder, eyes fixed on her face for just a second longer than necessary. "Welcome to our arrangement," he said. Maya turned to leave, her voice carrying through the rain. "No, Mr. Vale, welcome to mine." Quote. The elevator doors shut behind her, and for the first time in years, the man who had built empires out of numbers felt the sharp echo of something he could not quantify. It was not victory. It was the beginning of trouble. The next morning, the rain had stopped, but the city still smelled of metal and storm. Maya stood in front of Fong and Letters, the small family bookstore tucked between a laundromat and a florist. The old sign creaked in the wind. Her grandfather sat inside, reading by the dusty window, his silver hair glowing in the weak sunlight. He looked up when she entered, his eyes kind but tired. "You came home late, child? Did you talk to the landlord?" Maya hesitated. "I did. The rent is handled, at least for now." He frowned. Handled how? She forced a smile that did not reach her eyes. Do not worry about it, Grandpa. You need to rest. I will take care of everything. What? He nodded slowly, though the doubt in his gaze lingered. She turned away before he could ask more, her hand brushing the edge of the counter where unpaid bills were stacked beneath a broken clock. Every tick of that clock felt like a countdown. By noon, a black car pulled up outside. The driver stepped out and opened the door. Maya knew who it was before she even saw him. Ethan Vale, crisp suit, calm eyes, holding another folder in his hand. The world seemed quieter around him, as if money itself carried silence. Maya, he greeted. I have the final version of the contract for your review. She crossed her arms. You have a way of showing up uninvited. He gave a faint smile. You agreed to a deal. I am following through. She sighed, stepping outside. The smell of new paper mingled with coffee from the cafe next door. Let us get this over with. They sat in the car, the folder open between them. Ethan went over each clause again, his tone steady, professional. Maya listened, expression unreadable, until he reached the final line. At the end of 90 days, he said, the marriage will be legally dissolved. You will receive the deed to the bookstore and full financial independence. She nodded slowly. And if I break the rules? Then the agreement is void. Good, she said, because so is yours, if you forget that I am a human being, not a purchase. Quote. Ethan met her gaze, the first crack of discomfort flickering in his eyes. Duly noted. The driver dropped her off at a small law office 2 blocks away. Maya wanted witnesses. She refused to sign anything in secret. Inside, the notary read every line aloud before stamping the final page. When she placed her signature again, she did it with the same red ink as before. Ethan extended his hand. Partners? She looked at it, then shook once, brief and cold. Contractors? Quote. That evening, she packed her few belongings, 2 changes of clothes, a sketchbook filled with pencil notes, and her dented thermos. The driver took her to the Vale estate, an enormous mansion in the Upper East Side that looked more like a museum than a home. Its stone facade loomed under the fading sunset. The iron gates opened with a slow groan. As the car rolled along the long driveway, Maya saw fountains, marble statues, and rows of trimmed hedges shaped into letters spelling V. Every inch of the place screamed wealth and isolation. A butler met her at the entrance. Mrs. Vale, he said politely. Though his tone carried a question, she forced a small nod. Ethan appeared at the top of the stairs, his expression composed. Welcome, he said. Your room is upstairs, East Wing. Dinner is at 7. Her gaze swept the grand foyer, crystal chandeliers, oil paintings, a piano gleaming like a mirror. You live here alone? She asked. He nodded. Mostly. Quote, it feels like a hotel that forgot how to smile. That made him pause. I suppose it does. Dinner that night was quiet. A long table separated them, covered in silverware and porcelain she was afraid to touch. A chef and 2 servers moved silently. Ethan ate with careful precision, his movements almost mechanical. I trust you are settling in, he said. I am trying not to get lost, she answered. This place could fit 10 of my apartments. He looked faintly amused. You will adapt. Wait. She raised an eyebrow. Do you adapt to loneliness, Mr. Vale? For the first time, his hand hesitated over the wine glass. Loneliness is efficient, he said finally. It keeps distractions away. Maya leaned back in her chair, studying him. You sound like a man who mistakes silence for peace. The air between them tightened. Then Ethan let out a quiet breath. You speak your mind freely. Someone has to, she replied. When the meal ended, she excused herself and wandered down the hall. The mansion smelled of polish and emptiness. Her new bedroom was twice the size of the entire bookstore. The bed looked untouched, the view endless. On the nightstand lay a new phone and a keycard embossed with her initials. She placed her thermos next to them, the only piece of her old life she had left. Outside, the city hummed under a moon half hidden by clouds. Maya sat on the edge of the bed, whispering to herself, 90 days, just 90 days. Downstairs, Ethan stood alone in his office, staring at the red ribbon she had tied around the contract. He touched it once, as if testing whether it was real. The ink had already dried, but the deal still burned in his mind. For the first time, the man who believed he could buy time felt it slipping through his hands. Morning sunlight cut through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the east wing, painting golden lines across the marble floor. Maya woke early, half forgetting where she was until her eyes landed on the velvet curtains and the silent chandelier above her. For a second, she thought she had dreamed everything: the offer, the contract, the mansion. Then she saw the new phone on the nightstand and the red keycard with her initials. Reality was waiting. A soft knock sounded at the door. When she opened it, a woman in a gray uniform stood with a clipboard. "Good morning, Mrs. Vale. I am Clara, your assistant. Mr. Vale asked me to review the orientation schedule." Maya rubbed her temple. Orientation. Clara smiled faintly. "Today you will meet the stylist and the etiquette consultant. There will also be a brief photo shoot for the wedding announcement." "The what?" "Public relations requires at least one official image," Clara said carefully. "It will appear on the company website and in business magazines." Maya closed her eyes for a moment. "Fine, let us get it over with." 2 hours later, she stood in front of a mirror, surrounded by soft lights. A team of stylists adjusted the hem of her dress, curled her hair, and handed her delicate jewelry worth more than her entire bookstore inventory. She kept her thermos on the vanity table, ignoring the puzzled looks around her. Ethan entered the room, tailored and precise as always. He studied her reflection in the mirror. "You look suitable," he said after a pause. "Suitable," she repeated. "How romantic." His lips twitched, almost a smile. "I did not mean to offend. You look beautiful, Maya." She turned toward him. "Try saying that without sounding like a press release." He exhaled, the corner of his mouth softening. "You look beautiful." The photographer cleared his throat awkwardly. "Shall we begin?" They stood side by side, posing in front of the grand staircase. The camera clicked rapidly. Ethan's arm hovered near her waist, but never touched. Maya kept her posture straight, eyes calm, refusing to play the part of the obedient wife. Between flashes, she whispered, "You do realize this is absurd, right?" He murmured back, "Absurdity is the backbone of publicity." When the session ended, Maya slipped away to the garden. The air smelled of cut grass and roses, but underneath it was the heavy scent of wealth. She sat on a stone bench and pulled her thermos from her bag. The metal was still warm against her palm. Leon Wu approached quietly, holding a folder. He was Ethan's legal counsel, younger than she expected, polite but watchful. "Mrs. Vale," he greeted. "Mr. Vale asked me to go over the final clauses of your joint appearances." Maya raised an eyebrow. "There are more?" "Just clarifications," Leon said. 5 public events, 2 charity galas, 1 board dinner, 1 shareholders' brunch, and 1 press conference. You will attend each as his spouse. And if I refuse one, then the contract is incomplete. She sipped her tea. This deal of his is more binding than most marriages. Leon smiled faintly. "Perhaps, but you signed willingly." She studied him. "Do you agree with what he is doing?" He hesitated. "I think Mr. Vale is used to controlling outcomes. This is new territory for him." Quote. Maya nodded slowly. "It is new for me too." That evening, she and Ethan shared another silent dinner, broken only by the ticking of the antique clock on the wall. Halfway through the meal, he set down his fork. "Tomorrow we attend the first charity gala. It is hosted by the Hartson Foundation. My cousin Vivian will be there." "I have heard of her," Maya said. "The famous CFO with a tongue sharper than her jewelry." He almost smiled. "That sounds accurate. She is skeptical of our marriage." "Be prepared." "I was born prepared," Maya said. "But if she crosses a line, I will not stay silent. I expect nothing less." The next day arrived with clouds drifting low over the skyline. A limousine waited at the gates. Maya wore a navy gown chosen by the stylist, simple yet elegant. She carried no purse, only her thermos hidden inside the car's compartment. As they drove toward the hotel, Ethan reviewed notes on his tablet, every movement efficient, mechanical. "Does anything ever make you nervous?" she asked suddenly. He glanced up. "Miscalculations do. And people? They are harder to predict," he admitted. "That is why I prefer numbers." She studied him. "Maybe that is why you are lonely." He looked out the window. "Loneliness is manageable. Disappointment is not." At the gala entrance, cameras flashed like lightning. Maya felt the heat of the lights, the hum of voices. Ethan offered his arm. She took it, posture steady. They moved through the crowd with the grace of actors in a scene they both secretly wanted to end. Vivian approached in a shimmering silver gown, smile sharp as glass. "So this is the famous wife. I expected someone taller." Maya returned the smile. "And I expected someone kinder." The nearby guests chuckled quietly. Vivian's expression tightened, but she covered it with a laugh. "Welcome to the family," she said, then leaned close enough for Maya alone to hear. "Enjoy the role while it lasts." Maya's reply was soft but clear. "Do not worry. I play my roles well, especially the ones with endings." Later that night, back at the mansion, Maya unpinned her hair and looked at her reflection. The gown, the lights, the false smiles, all of it felt like borrowed air. She whispered, 90 days, and set her thermos on the table. Downstairs, Ethan scrolled through the evening's headlines. One caught his eye. "Mrs. Vale steals the spotlight, the contract bride, who outshined high society." He closed the tablet slowly. For the first time, a hint of pride touched his otherwise controlled expression. Upstairs, Maya turned off the lights and stared out the window at the sleeping city. Somewhere below, the billionaire who had bought her time was beginning to lose control of his own. Morning came soft and gold over the mansion. The newspapers that once questioned Ethan Vale's sanity for marrying an unknown barista now splashed her face across the front page. "The contract bride with the heart of fire," one headline said. Maya stared at it over breakfast, unimpressed. Ethan entered the dining hall, already dressed for work. "You made an impression," he said. "I did not plan to," she replied. "I only refused to let your cousin insult a waiter." He poured coffee into a cup, but said nothing. For a man who controlled empires, he seemed strangely unsure what to say to one woman. That day marked the beginning of what Leon Wu jokingly called Operation Transformation. Public events were scheduled one after another, and the staff worked to polish every inch of Maya's image. A stylist arrived each morning with racks of gowns. An etiquette coach followed, teaching her posture, pacing, how to hold a champagne flute, how to smile without surrender. Maya endured it all with quiet defiance. She learned quickly but refused to pretend. When the coach corrected her hands, she said calmly, "Grace has nothing to do with which fork you hold." By the second week, she had become a quiet storm in the house. The staff who once whispered behind her back now greeted her first. She helped a gardener move heavy pots, shared tea with the cook, and replaced the mansion's sterile silence with small talk and laughter. Ethan noticed. He walked through the hall one evening, hearing the echo of her laughter from the kitchen. For reasons he did not understand, he stopped at the doorway instead of walking past. Maya stood barefoot, still in her gown from the day's charity event, helping Clara arrange flowers in mismatched vases. The scene looked out of place in his marble kingdom, and maybe that was why he could not look away. When she finally saw him, she wiped her hands. "You own 3 companies, but only one kind of flower here. That is a poor ratio." Ethan smiled slightly. "Roses are efficient." "Efficient is not alive," she said, returning to her work. The next evening, they attended a board dinner together. The restaurant glowed with warm light and polished glass. Ethan guided her through introductions, but it was Maya who steadied the room. When a senior investor made a snide remark about street girls in designer dresses, she lifted her glass and said, "Sir, that may be true, but sometimes the street has a better view of reality than the boardroom." The table went silent. Then a few people laughed softly. Ethan tried not to smile. After the dinner, as they drove back through the city, rain began again, tapping softly against the car windows. Maya leaned her head against the glass. "Your world never sleeps, does it?" "No, Ethan said quietly. "It only hides its exhaustion behind money." She turned to look at him. "And you? What do you hide behind?" He hesitated before answering. "Control." Her voice was softer. "Maybe that is why you built this mansion, to keep the world outside. But eventually, everything lonely starts echoing." When they returned, Ethan walked her to the staircase. "You were remarkable tonight," he said. "I spoke the truth." "That should not be remarkable." He looked at her for a long moment. "It is, in this world." Maya smiled faintly. "Then maybe your world needs fixing." As she climbed the stairs, her hand brushed the rail where the light fell in gold patterns. Downstairs, Ethan remained in the hall, the sound of her steps fading into silence. For the first time since the contract began, he wondered whether the woman who was supposed to save his reputation might end up saving something else entirely. The third week of their arrangement began with flashing lights and the hum of conversation that filled the Grand Hartson Hotel. Tonight was the annual charity gala for the Hartson Foundation, and every powerful name in the city was in attendance. Maya stood at the edge of the ballroom, feeling the weight of hundreds of eyes. The air shimmered with perfume and money. Ethan adjusted his cufflinks beside her, his expression as calm as a marble statue. "Remember," he said quietly, "smile for the cameras. We only need to survive 2 hours." She gave him a sidelong glance. "You make it sound like a battle." "It often is," he replied. They stepped into the light together. Cameras flashed instantly, a wave of brightness washing over them. Reporters shouted their names. Maya lifted her chin, her calm presence catching the attention of more than one photographer. She did not act. She simply was. Across the room, Vivian Hart watched them, her jeweled hand resting on a champagne glass. The same sharp smile returned to her face. Within minutes, she drifted toward them like perfume in motion. "Ethan, darling," she said sweetly. "And the famous Mrs. Vale. What a picture you make. Almost convincing." Maya smiled politely. "Almost is enough for tonight." Vivian's smile flickered. She turned to Ethan. "The board is watching. Do keep your charming wife close. We would not want any more surprises." Ethan's tone cooled. "Thank you for your concern, Vivian. Enjoy the evening." As Vivian left, Maya whispered, "Does she hate me or just hate losing control?" "Both," he murmured. The night unfolded in glitter and noise. Waiters moved like shadows, and the orchestra swelled with jazz and strings. Halfway through the evening, a commotion broke out near the buffet table. A senior donor had knocked over a tray and was berating a young waiter who stood frozen with embarrassment. Maya's instincts took over. She walked straight toward them, her gown sweeping the floor, her voice calm and clear. "Excuse me, sir," she said. "It was an accident. Let him replace the dish. No harm done." The donor glared. "Do you know who I am?" Maya smiled softly. "A guest, which means you were invited to enjoy the evening, not destroy it." Gasps rippled around the room. Cameras turned. The donor flushed red, muttered an apology, and walked away. Maya knelt, helped the waiter collect the broken glass, and whispered something that made him smile. Across the hall, Ethan watched her, the noise of the crowd fading. She did not know how to play the game of the elite, yet somehow she won it without trying. Later, as they stepped outside to the terrace for air, the city stretched beneath them like a field of stars. Ethan leaned against the railing. "You handled that perfectly," he said. "I did what anyone should do," Maya replied. "You cannot buy dignity, Ethan. You only protect it." He looked at her for a long moment, the lights from the ballroom reflecting in his eyes. "Most people in that room would disagree. Then most people in that room are wrong." A breeze caught her hair and she tucked it behind her ear. "Do you ever tire of pretending?" she asked quietly. "Every day," he admitted. She smiled faintly. "Then stop." Quote, "For a heartbeat, neither of them moved. The distance that the contract had built between them felt thinner than ever." Ethan wanted to say something, anything, but the words stayed trapped in his throat. When they returned inside, the cameras followed them again. But this time, he no longer saw flashes and headlines. He saw the woman beside him, strong, defiant, painfully real, and realized she was undoing his carefully built world one quiet act at a time. The following evening, the mansion was quiet except for the faint sound of thunder rolling over the city. Ethan had spent the entire day in meetings and came home late, still wearing his tie, his shoulders heavy with fatigue. When he entered the foyer, he saw Maya sitting on the grand staircase, her hair pulled back, a book open on her lap. The warm glow of the chandelier turned the page gold. "You are home," she said without looking up. "I am," he answered. "Long day." She closed the book. "Another day saving the empire?" He gave a small smile. "Trying to. The investors are nervous. They want guarantees that I am stable, reliable, settled." "Which means married," she said quietly. "Exactly." He sank into the chair across from her. "They see marriage as proof of control. Irony, isn't it? The one thing I cannot control." Maya stood, walked to the window, and looked out at the lightning flashing across the skyline. "Control is a beautiful illusion, Ethan. You hold it until something breaks." The storm thickened. Thunder cracked closer, shaking the glass. For a moment the power flickered. The room dimmed, leaving them in half-light. Ethan exhaled slowly. "There is something you should know. I do not like storms." She turned to him. "You? The man who moves markets with a phone call?" He looked away, embarrassed. "When I was a child, my parents fought during every storm. The sound of thunder was the soundtrack to chaos. Even now, it sets off something I cannot reason with." Maya walked over, picked up her thermos from the table, and poured warm tea into the cap. "Then do what I tell you," she said softly. "Breathe with me." He stared at her, confused. She held the cup between them like a metronome. "In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, follow the rhythm." He obeyed, awkward at first, then steadier. The rain softened, his shoulders loosened. Maya's voice was calm, almost melodic. "See? It is only sound. You are safe." When he finally opened his eyes, the fear was gone. "How did you do that?" he asked quietly. She smiled. "I used to help my grandfather through his asthma attacks. Same trick. Breathing makes the world smaller." He looked at her, something unspoken crossing his face. "You could have been anything, Maya. Why stay fighting for a dying bookstore?" "Because it is not dead yet," she said. "And because it is ours. Some things are worth saving even when they stop making money." He nodded slowly. "Maybe I forgot that somewhere along the way." Outside, the rain eased to a drizzle. She handed him the thermos. "Keep this. You might need it next time the thunder comes." He accepted it, fingers brushing hers for a second too long. "Thank you." She stepped back, her voice steady again. "It is just tea, Ethan." Quote. But as she walked upstairs, he looked down at the dented steel cup in his hand and realized it was more than tea. It was the first thing in years that made him feel human. The next morning began with the usual rhythm of the mansion: quiet footsteps, silver trays, the smell of coffee drifting through marble halls. Maya was reading in the garden when Leon arrived with a worried expression and a tablet in his hand. "Mrs. Vale," he said carefully, "I think you should see this." Cried. She looked up, the sunlight glinting on her hair. "What is it?" Leon hesitated. "A news alert. Someone leaked a photograph of your marriage contract. It is trending online with the tag number Bet Bride." Maya's stomach tightened. "A bet?" Leon nodded grimly. "An anonymous source claims your marriage began as a wager between Mr. Vale and the Hartson board. It says he agreed to marry a stranger to prove that he could manage both a merger and a wife." She stood slowly, her voice quiet but sharp. "Who leaked it?" "We suspect Vivian Hart," he admitted. "She stands to gain control of the company if Ethan's credibility collapses." Maya's fingers curled around the edge of the bench. "Where is Ethan now?" "In his office," Leon said. "He is trying to control the fallout." Maya left without another word. The walk to the main building felt longer than ever. When she entered Ethan's office, he was standing by the window, phone pressed to his ear, the skyline burning behind him. "I do not care how they got the picture," he said coldly. "Contain the narrative. Frame it as an attack on the foundation." He ended the call, then turned to find her in the doorway. "Maya," he began. "I was going to tell you..." She cut him off. "Tell me what?" That this was all a game? His jaw tensed. It was not a game. It was business. A reckless decision made under pressure. But it changed, Maya. I changed. She stared at him, disbelief mixing with anger. You changed because you started to feel guilty? No, he said softly. Because I started to care. She shook her head. Do not say that. You cannot turn a lie into love just because it suits your conscience now. He took a step forward. Please, let me explain. Explain how you bet on me like a company share. How you used my family's pain as leverage. How you made me believe this might actually mean something. Her voice cracked for the first time. You let me walk into this blind. Quote. Ethan's face tightened with regret. I never meant to hurt you. But you did, she said. And what hurts more is that I let you. The silence that followed was heavier than thunder. She set her keycard on his desk, beside the red-ribboned folder that had started it all. You have your contract, Mr. Vale. I am done. Maya, do not follow me, she said quietly. If you have even a shred of decency left, let me leave with what little dignity I have. She walked out without looking back. By the time Ethan reached the door, the elevator had already closed. He stood there, listening to the echo fade down the hall. On the desk, the red ribbon had come loose, one end trailing like a cut vein. Leon entered a few minutes later. The media wants a statement. Ethan's voice was hollow. Tell them nothing. Not yet. When Leon left, Ethan sank into his chair, staring at the thermos sitting on the shelf, her thermos. He had kept it there after the storm. The dented steel reflected the city lights, warped and uneven, like everything he thought he controlled. For the first time in his life, Ethan Vale did not reach for his phone or his power. He just sat in the quiet, listening to the storm building again inside his own chest. 2 days later, the Carter Foundation's annual fundraising gala filled the city's grand auditorium. The hall glowed with chandeliers, reporters clustered near the stage, and every camera waited for Ethan Vale's appearance. His publicist had begged him to stay silent, but tonight silence was no longer an option. When he walked onto the stage, the room fell still. Vivian Hart stood among the guests, confident that his downfall was complete. Ethan adjusted the microphone, his voice steady but raw. You have all seen the headlines, he said. And yes, they are true. I made a bet. I turned something sacred into a transaction. I used a woman's trust to protect my pride. A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd. Ethan held up the red-ribboned folder. This is the contract that started it. Tonight, it ends. He struck a match and dropped it into the bowl beside him. The paper caught instantly, flames rising until the red ribbon turned black. The woman I married showed me that integrity is not for sale, he continued. I will spend the rest of my life proving that lesson true. He opened a small case, revealing a signed deed. This belongs to Fong and Letters, the bookstore I once used as leverage. It will now be protected by the literacy fund created in her grandfather's name. Applause broke through the shock. Vivian paled. Ethan looked directly into the cameras. Maya, wherever you are, thank you for teaching me what leadership truly means. What? He stepped back from the firelight, the smoke curling upward like the ghost of the man he used to be. Weeks passed, the noise faded, and headlines moved on to the next scandal, but the echo of Ethan's confession still lingered. Fong and Letters reopened quietly under a fresh coat of paint, its shelves filled again, its bell chiming softly as the door swung open to a new morning. Maya stood behind the counter, arranging books by hand, the sunlight catching the dust like floating gold. The door opened, and the sound of familiar footsteps stopped her breath. Ethan Vale stood there, dressed simply for once, no tie, no entourage, no mask. In his hand, he carried the old thermos she had left behind. You forgot this, he said quietly. She looked at him for a long moment. I did not forget. I left it. I know, he said, but I was hoping you might take it back anyway. Maya exhaled slowly. You burned your contract in front of the world. Why are you here now? Because the fire only ended a deal, he said. It did not end how I feel. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a simple gold ring, nothing like the one from their staged wedding. No contracts this time, no deadlines, just truth. She hesitated, her voice trembling just a little. "Do you think the world will believe you?" Ethan smiled faintly. "It does not matter if they do. I am done living for proof." For a long second, neither moved. Then she took the ring, her thumb brushing over its smooth surface. "You are still impossible," she whispered. "And you are still extraordinary," he replied. Outside, the street buzzed with life, the same world that had once mocked them. Inside, it was quiet, only the rustle of pages and the smell of paper and rain. Maya placed the thermos on the counter between them. "All right, Mr. Vale," she said softly. "You may start again. But this time, bring coffee, not contracts." He laughed, a sound lighter than she had ever heard from him, and took her hand. The final shot lingered on the wall behind them, where a burned piece of red ribbon was framed beside a new photo, two people smiling in front of the bookstore. A voiceover faded in. "Real love does not need signatures or promises written in ink. It only needs the courage to show up and tell the truth."